two. Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Feminine Flow podcast. And I'm so excited because I have another special guest, someone who I actually absolutely adore, Ula Friedel. So Ula and myself, like all of my other guests, met during our training on the Female Sexuality Practitioner training. And myself and Ula, I feel that we mirror each other a lot in so many ways. And I've invited Ula on today so we can have this discussion of the connection between the truth and the Yoni and how they play a significant role in us reclaiming our power as women. So before we get started, I would love to invite Ula to introduce yourself and let the listeners know what you do and how you help this world.
Thank you so much, Dominica. So my name is Ula. I am a female sexuality coach. And what I do is I help women feel more comfortable or feel comfortable within their skin, within their body, with sexuality altogether, and help them reclaim the power they have within, tap into it, get to know it. I also run workshops and rituals outside of one-to-one work.
Yes, I love that. So I just wanted, because I'm always talking about like synchronicities and stuff like that. So I just wanted to share, like, remember how I messaged you and you were like, oh my God, I was already thinking that. So basically what happened for ages, I was thinking, oh, I'd love to invite Ula on. I'd love to invite you on as a guest. But I was like, I know it will come to me anyways when the time comes and I'm supposed to invite you on. And then I seen that you had done a podcast and I was like, right, I feel like now is supposed to be the time. So I just messaged Ula and I was like, what's the story, Ula? Would you be interested in coming on as a guest? And it's grand if you don't. And then you messaged me back and you were like, oh my God, I was already speaking to one of our like friends on the female sexuality practitioner training. And I said, I'm going to ask Dominique if she'll invite me on as a guest. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been wanting to come and speak with you on your podcast since I heard your first episode. And this is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, isn't it? Just how you shared your story about your voice.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, I would recommend going back to listen to the episode 1, but just on a very, very small, because I want Ula to speak about her experience. I struggled a lot for years with my voice. I was very shy. I couldn't speak. I just couldn't find the words. And due to the shyness, I got bullied, which made my voice even quiet even more. And I found it just very hard to express myself only up until the last couple of years. And then the female sexuality training definitely helped. It definitely helped. So go back to that, but it's Ula's time now. So I would love you to share your experience, Ula.
My experience with the voice. Wow. Now I have to select the parts that are important. There's just so much to say. Firstly, growing up, my father used to say the Polish version of children should be seen and not heard a lot. This has been a theme, and I was the youngest child in the family. So it felt as though my voice just didn't matter at all. Yet I was the joker of the family, the funny one, the cute one, wanting to win everyone's attention with my humor. But I felt as though if there was anything important I had to say, it didn't matter, it was invalid, or it was at times ridiculed. That essentially meant that going through life, I was more and more scared to speak up, to use my voice. I had terrible anxiety if I was in an environment where I didn't know people, I didn't know where I was. So I stuck into my comfort zone. Then later in life, obviously, when the alcohol comes in, then I was a lot braver, and I would then speak too much, say things that were offensive, and then I would have a moral hangover as well. And in sexuality, I would never speak about what it is that I wanted and needed. At some point, following my divorce, I would use my voice, but I would put on a mask. I would play a role and use the voice of that personality that I created in the sexual setting, in intimate setting. And it's been only really through working with Amy that this Amy, for those of you that don't know, is the woman who created the training where Dominica and I met. And with that, I learned about the connection of our sexuality, our yoni and our throat. And I've started using my real voice in the bedroom, in sex. And it started shifting me tremendously.
Yeah,
That's in a nutshell, this is it.
yeah, I love that. So, just two things I wanted to like. One is a share and one is a question, I suppose. So, kind of like what you were saying to me, when you said that your father was saying like little girls shouldn't be hurt, they should be seen. I remember, so this is going back, like this is also like what all women would have been told for thousands of years, you know, like shh, be quiet. And I remember a couple of months ago, I was doing, I don't know, I was doing some type of healing on myself. I don't know what I was doing. But what came to me was, oh yeah, and this is perfect. I know exactly what it was now. So I was doing like some breath work, you know, like into the Yoni and stuff like that. The heart Yoni connection, the throat connection. But I remember like having my hands cupping my vulva, and I felt the power, right? The power of like my sexual power, the power of my Yoni. But it was like, whoa, this is like Jesus Christ. I can't even put it into words. Like I've never felt this power before. It's all within me. But what came to me was because I was walking through like being accepted and stuff like that, and it was like that women shouldn't be heard, they should be seen. But what it was actually an ancestral pattern belief that was passed on to me. Like so this is something that all women have been taught. So you received that directly from your father, but then we also carry all of that generational stuff in our womb. So yeah, this is why I wanted us to talk, have this conversation, because there's so many women who have been silenced due to their own personal experiences, or like just being a woman. Um, so the question I have for you is like, what was it that you learned about the voice and the only connection, if you would like to share that with the listeners?
What I've learned is that through opening up the voice, the yoni relaxes. Through opening up the yoni, the voice relaxes. I've learned how by inviting the sound within the space, within intimate space, whether it's with myself or another, there's a completely different energy that's welcomed.
Mm.
There is sensation that's being released, and messages come in, emotional release comes in when we incorporate that voice, when we allow ourselves to sound. And I don't know if you missed that, but whether it be with ourselves during self-pleasure moments, or whether it be with another, when we invite that voice, that expression that wants to come in, that voice that wants to sound, doesn't matter how it sounds completely different to what porn or media presents to us as desirable. Whatever sound comes out, it is healing, it is necessary, it is there's messages there, and it opens us up.
Yeah, because it's very, I do find like it's very animalistic, the noises that come out, aren't they? Like it's not like what what we would have been taught. It's real, like
Yes.
it's like this, like it's just mad noises that come out. But I find it fascinating, like when you actually let your like that, when you invite it and you're like, just whatever sound that needs to come out to me, and then you're like, oh my God, I didn't know I even had any of that in me.
Yeah, for me, a lot of power comes out in
Yeah.
words as well. Like the is in the inner being is saying to me, I want it all. I want to feel it. I want to express it. And I would speak those words out loud, whether with myself or another.
Love that. Wow.
It's just beautiful, just so much power.
Yes, I love that. And
Mm.
that's perfect for your North Node in Gemini. That's you
Mm.
speaking it out. Um, I remember a couple of weeks ago I was down helping my Reiki master. She was training people doing Reiki anyways. And I was just asked her, I was like, is there any way, because a lot of them, there was a lot of sacral stuff going on, like so and heart. So I was like, could I do a bit of embodiment with them? Just give me 5 minutes with them, and just to show them how they can shift energy, how they can get into their body, how they can access sexual pleasure, how they can like heal themselves by just this little practice. And it was just breath, sound, movement, the goddess breath. And like that, it was like I invited them to breathe directly down into the Yoni and make the sound from the Yoni. And like that, it was those animalistic noises that came out, and the feedback that I got, wow, that's so powerful. And wow, those noises, it's very animalistic, like because we are essentially like we still have that animal body within us.
Mm. It's almost like giving yourself permission, giving your yoni permission to speak through you, isn't it?
Yes,
If you direct attention to the yoni and say speak through her, her voice comes out,
yeah.
her desire, her creativity.
Yeah, it's absolutely
Mm.
fascinating. And also the breath, the voice and the only when you actually, again, like you said, give yourself the permission to make the sound, it expands your orgasms if the orgasm is
Mm.
available to us. And where I don't like people aren't I suppose they're not taught about that. Which is, it's just this like these simple little things that if we were taught, it instead of I suppose the shame or the suppression of the voice, suppression of the sexual energy, if we were taught to open that voice up and let whatever sounds come out, that's when our power gets activated, isn't it?
Mm. And the
Yes.
deep sounds, not the sounds as you mentioned in porn. There's this high pitch. There's this restriction, constriction of the abdomen muscles, holding it all together as opposed to releasing.
Yeah.
And when we release the deep sound, the depth of the resonance, it relaxes the body and it welcomes more pleasure and more beautiful sensations everywhere, just spreads this glorious energy.
Yes, and I love that. And even like don't we have the vagus nerve that's connected at the back of the spine that runs from the back of our neck down into our cervix. So even like just us like doing that deep breathing, not only is it activating like everything we've spoke about, but it's regulating our nervous system, which makes us
Mm.
feel safe within the body, which helps us access that power even more.
Mm. And this is the one place, actually, as I mentioned, I have quite a bit of social anxiety, and sex is the one place, that relaxed space, that and again with yeah, whether whether it be with myself or another, that is the space where I can absolutely relax and find that peace and how do I say it, relax the nervous system, just come back to my most sort of not relaxed again, but zen space, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
So I find it peace, I find it calm and present moment.
Yeah. I love
Mm.
that. Yeah, that's amazing. Um, and when it comes to, right, so we're speaking about the voice and our power, like, and how like it's so important for us to express ourselves as women and to find our power. And within the journey that I suppose you had on the training that we done, um, what did that power give you? Like, what, as in, what did it give you the confidence to do, I suppose?
Oh, wow, where do I start? Well, firstly, something I didn't mention earlier is that I only learned English as an adult,
Hey.
right? I couldn't speak English when I first moved here to the UK at 21. I learned English as I was going. And for years and years, I kept myself really small because of it, because of the experience of not being able to put the sentence together and being looked at as though, a fool, basically. Because if somebody can't speak, there's this notion that they just not intelligent enough if they can't articulate. So for years and years, I was playing small. I was working for a boss, and whoever the boss was, I was really slow to grow within the company I was in. Asking for promotion or raise would be a big no-no. And I just never really believed that I could be self-employed or make anything of myself. In the 6 months of our training, in awakening that voice, in awakening that sexuality, tapping into this, I am now not working for anybody else, because as much as the journey might be scary, as much as the journey might be well, unknown, just a complete mystery to me how I'm going to do it. I have this faith in my abilities. I have this knowing that I have the abilities, and I have this knowing that my voice opens up as I go. I might not be there yet. I might not be ready to be a headliner in a Netflix show about sex, but I know that I'm heading in that direction. I know that I'm heading in the direction where I will be able to speak publicly and articulate. And I know that fear is not going to eat me up. The confidence it brought me. I know this is an overused word, confidence, but this is it. There's this self-belief, that knowing, when you, with using the voice, with understanding the sacred sexuality, when you understand the power that's lying there within you and how it was hiding for years and years and years, when you understand what's there, anything is possible. And you just go and get it. You just go and claim it. I'm on the journey of claiming it.
I love that. I can definitely see it on a Netflix show. You're putting that out into the universe now, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Please tell
Speak,
me.
speak into existence. Love
Oh,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
Please, can you share your experience?
Yeah. So my experience, I suppose I really feel, from me, my experience is actually talking so openly about sex and not feeling shame. Um, and being and I'll go into that a bit deeper. So like, I remember it was like 3 months into the training, right? This is like, so we started in March, I was June. I remember around this time last year I was at my cousin's wedding, and the um oh my God, the woman who officiated the wedding, I knew her from Instagram. I actually got my cousins to hire her. She's so lovely. But I was talking to her about it, and the word sexuality, I stuttered, right? And I went on the inside, my face, I could feel my face boiling, right? I couldn't even say the word sexuality. Never mind, like, openly speak about it. So for me, it's like, yeah, like, my self-pleasure sessions, wow, it has made me go find God. It made me find God through sex. Okay. So I always thought, I believe in God, Goddess, whatever name you have for it, like, it doesn't matter, it's all the one, our source, our creator. I suppose I've always believed that we have a creator, and especially over the last few years when my abilities open, I knew that Jesus Christ, I knew, like, of course, like there's something higher than us, like, but I always thought it was outside. I always thought it was this outside thing, or this up in the sky. But after I began to like fully like go inwards and like learn all the teachings that Amy passed on to us, and really connect to like that breath, that sound, that movement, and feeling that safety within my body as I was moving through the self-pleasure. It's like, oh my God, God is not outside, God is within me. And all of this is returning me back to love, to unconditional love, right in my heart. And that's God. God is unconditional love. So yeah, I found God within. And it just, yeah, openly speaking about like self-pleasure, because like for me it's self-pleasure, like I'm not in a relationship or anything like that, so it's always been self-pleasure for me since we've been in the training. And even I find like, okay, people are a bit like they want to hear a bit more about sex, but when you talk about self-pleasure, it's a bit like, oh, don't do that, don't talk about that. But it's like, no. So for me, it's like, right, okay, we want to have sex with other people. But people are always saying like if they're feeling turned on or horny or whatever, they're like, I need another person to fulfill this need within me. And again, that's you looking outside. I know I'm not saying I'm all for having like sex with someone that you feel that connection to, or you want to, you desire to, but I'm saying don't give that power away. Do you know what I mean? So it's like I have the power to sexually please me. And if I want to invite a person that I feel I connect to and respects me, and both, and yeah, then I can invite them in because I want to, not because I have to. So again, it's that power thing. It's me. I have everything I need within me. So yeah. Yeah. So
It resonates with me so much. The power you have within you and the connection to God within you. I was brought up in a Catholic church. My family wasn't religious, but the God was always represented as something bigger than ourselves, a judge, male figure, something to be fearful of. On one hand, it was said to be love and love only. On another hand, you will be on trial at the time of death. It was something to fear. And when you connect to the divinity of your sexual energy and you see purity of it, and understand that this is what they mean by God, not the books, but the feeling of God is here, is always within us, and we can always come and claim the connection to it.
yeah. Because isn't it that, like, I'm Catholic as well, and no, wouldn't be like religious or anything. I used to get brought by my granddad to church on a Sunday. But like, and I wouldn't say we're Catholic, religious, I suppose. But yeah, like I live in Ireland, and in the 90s, and obviously before then, but I would have been a child in the 90s, like the church ruled. Do you know what I mean? Like the church ruled Ireland. Um, it doesn't have that power, excuse me, that it did before, but like that, it's like that you're being taught like don't have sex outside marriage, like self-pleasure is dirty and you're going to hell. Like, so these are like beliefs that's being passed down to you, right? It doesn't matter if it's directly getting said to you, but you're living around this. It's been in your programmed to your parents, your grandparents, so on and so forth. So like, and especially as women, like, all right, men can go out and do whatever they want because it's patriarchy, like, but as women, you need to be clean, you need to be pure and not dirty, like, because no one will want you and you're going to hell.
And in a Catholic church, again, confession, big part of the church, having to go kneel down in front of a man and tell him what an awful person you are, and he, on the God's behalf, is supposed to tell you what you have to do to purify yourself again.
I know.
What's the word? Demeaning?
I know what word. I know what word you're saying, but I can't think.
Yeah, still working on the English, but yeah.
You're great at English. No, you're great. But yeah, so like God is not outside. God, we don't have to go to anyone to connect to God. We can find that within. And I think that that's just a something that we haven't been taught. Not a lot of people know, but I feel that you only learn it through embodying it, like through experiencing it, like but then again we have to like remove that shame. And this is why this podcast is very important to me, right? Because I'm all about education, just like yourself. Um and this subject is so, like, obviously it's becoming more open, which is amazing, but it's still so there's a lot of shame and it's still a bit of taboo. But like, and over on Instagram or social media, like you only get like 90 seconds or something like that, whatever, 90 seconds, a few posts. And I just don't think that you can educate people properly, like on like Instagram or social media. Whereas like, this is why this podcast is so important to me, to educate people and to really drive in that message, is like to return, like you can return to God through sex, through your body. It's not outside, it's inside. And um the importance of having like women come on and share their perspective. I have had all, like anyone I've had on is from our training. I do believe that I'll get all 10 women, but it'll come to me when it's supposed to. So yeah, this like education is so important, because we've been taught, like I can't even remember like my sex education in school. I actually can't. I don't. I know I got it, but I think it was a bit about my periods, which was terrible. I don't even remember it. That's how bad it was. Um. So yeah, education is vital, I think.
When we think back to our experiences, the education we received from our parents, from our peers, from school, what did it boil down to? You know, like mom would speak to you about don't do it because if you for example, my mom would say don't accept a drink because the guy will expect sex. What I've learned is that if a guy buys me a drink, I owe him sex. Education at school, I just remember the feeling of shame flooding my body when the gentleman that was educating us, he was great, no problem. But when you sit a group of I don't know, 30 little girls in a room and tell them that as little girls they were rubbing their vulvas against the side of the chair because their sexuality has always been awakened, sort of their sexual pleasure organ, the clitoris, was always awake. They spoke to us about pleasure, yes, but the setting, it just floods you with shame, and it feels like you were exposed because somebody told everyone what you were doing as a little girl. And then I just remember a video of abortion being shown to us at religious education class. My mom never spoke to me about period. I had to just figure it out by myself. So you get bits here and there. And we come into adult life, we come to being in sexual relationships, feeling ashamed of our bodies, ashamed of our periods, afraid of STIs and pregnancies, feeling like the man has all the power and he makes the decision and he's the one that speaks. Because in films, men always knew what to do. And there was no conversation about sex before having sex. People just rip their clothes off and start fucking. Simple as, right? It's supposed to be that simple. And you go into it and you go like, it's not like that. I don't feel like it. I feel afraid. Oh, I want to say no, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
Then my rant is over.
Yeah, no, come here. But you know what I wanted to share, and it's exactly what you're on. It's like we're going into these like sexual experiences, right? And as women, like you said, are like we think because we are shown that men should know, right? But my thing is, how can a man know how to touch you? where to, like, exactly where they need to go if you don't know how to do that yourself. And this is where that communication comes in, and why I believe we should be experiencing self-pleasure as well. Because when we self-pleasure, we get to know our body, our needs, our wants, our desires, that when we do have a lover or a relationship, that we can express, open that voice and communicate and share, this is what I like. So you're not putting pressure on the man, because God loved them. It's as well, like, you know, I feel sorry for men as well, thinking, oh, I should not, like, we're putting all that pressure. Oh, he should know how to touch me. Like, he doesn't know how to have sex. Well, no, you should know how to touch yourself, and then you can share that with your partner, and there's that communication. Your partner can share that back with you. So I do think that a lot of pressure does also get put on men, and just assuming they know how to touch you to please you, when actually, like, why should they? It's not your body. If you don't know how to please your own body, why, like, they can't, like, they don't mind rich, do you know what I mean? They don't have a map, and everyone's body is different. So you might like something different than a different touch than I like. So I think that's why, again, like, I keep going over self-pleasure, self-pleasure, self-pleasure. If we want to have better sex with our partners, it all starts with us.
Yes, absolutely. And this is the one thing we've learned. Again, another thing that we've learned, isn't it? First, get to know yourself. My first experience with Amy was in 2020, where I joined her sex magic ritual, which we were taught how to guide ourselves. And in that ritual, this is the first time I truly made love to myself,
Wow.
which, you know, we see the difference between self-pleasure and masturbation, right?
Mm.
We learned about the huge difference that is there. Once you learn how to self-pleasure, you discover what a gorgeous divine landscape you have. You discover the power and the feeling of it. You will then learn that you want to explain to someone that is joining you on this journey of sexual expression, intimacy. You want to tell them, this is how I want to be touched, this is what I want, this is what I expect, this is what turns me on, this is what pleasures me, and I want you to witness me authentically. I want you to witness me authentically in pleasure and expressing what it is that I want and need from you, what it is that I want to experience with you. That coming back to the voice, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the whole, like, it's okay to say no. Like, even if we are, even whether it's with ourselves or with a partner, it's okay if that we're engaging in, like, self-pleasure or sex, that if our, like, bodies are like, this is a no, I don't want it, that we can express that and that it's received. Yeah. That's where, like, I think, like, even, and this is where it comes back to our own bodies as well. Like, this is why we self-pleasure as well, because it's about boundaries as well, learning boundaries, isn't it? Like, boundaries with yourself, because like that we could be, like, forcing, just because we think that penetration is, whether we're self-pleasure, masturbating, whatever, having sex, it's like penetration. But actually our bodies, our yoni might be like, I've had enough, I just don't want this. And learning how to recognize that within your body, and then learning how to communicate that with yourself and another. So that's where, again, it's the voice connection. Like, it's super powerful.
Yes, and this is the one thing that I feel like that it would be nearly impossible to learn when just absorbing or learning about sexuality from media. When do we ever talk about asking oneself for consent, yourself, when you self-pleasure? We'd never been role modeled that you're supposed to check with yourself what it is that you want, how you touch yourself. We shove the tampon up our vaginas and don't ask our body for consent. And we know how traumatizing it is to get a smear test. Nobody talks about it, just how unpleasant it is, and you have to breathe and relax, but you really, really don't want that cold thing in you, and you don't want that stranger to look between your legs. We are poked and prodded by the medical staff if we're giving birth, right? So our body is re-traumatized over and over and over again, and spending some time checking with yourself when you self-pleasure, apologizing to your body for all the touch you received that it didn't welcome in the moment. That there's something really special about this.
Oh, definitely. Like I was actually, I went to a dance class like 2 weeks ago, and I just started talking about this. I don't know, I got asked about it anyway, so I was invited. Didn't just randomly start. But it was like that the premature penetration and what it does to our bodies. And I know I spoke about this on another podcast, but about like how it actually puts that armor up around our vaginal wall because of the connective tissue. And that can cause us to disassociate and to not feel. And the women I was talking about, they were like, oh my God, I did not know that. And this is why to me this episode these podcasts are important, because again you're educating people. And like I'd love eventually at some time in my life to go into actually secondary schools with teenage girls and speak to them about this. I think I think this is the type of education that girls and women need.
Mm. Yes, and I have a 9-year-old daughter, so it is at the back of my mind constantly. What do I say? How do I behave with her? Do I practice boundaries? Even with tickling her when she was little, I would say, you can stop me at any time. Just say stop, and I'll stop. Just learning this from a young age, because it doesn't have to be just us talking to the child about penetration, condoms, all kinds of things that we think are important. We thought were important. The basics are important. Not forcing your child to go and cuddle the uncle, or sit on someone's lap, or receive a kiss, or smile at a stranger. Allow them to feel their feelings. If they don't feel like they can trust someone, they should be able to feel it and not override their feelings, right? And yeah, I would absolutely join you on that. Going to schools and speaking about consent, boundaries, um, pleasure.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that when you're saying, I think that's great advice that you give to parents as well, like, isn't it? Because you're taught, oh, you're a bold kid, you're a bold boy, bold girl, bold kid. If you say, oh, I don't want to hug that person, or I don't want to do this, and we're not actually realizing that it is them. Like when you say, oh, you just have to do it. It's like, well, you're basically telling them they just have to do anything, like because another person wants them to, like. And that's where it can go into all the people pleasing as well, like, isn't it? So
Mm.
it's so much more complex than just sex.
Yes.
It really is. Um, so I think we should share about our upcoming workshop. So me and Ula have decided to hold a workshop on the 17th of July. It's called Roar, and it is a voice healing and voice activation workshop. Um, and basically it's for any woman who is struggling to open up her voice, to fully self-express, to say what's on her mind. And we will be blending lots of different healing techniques, like first of all, getting down to the root cause of what is this block, and how can we shift it, and using lots of embodiment practices like breath, sound, and movement, what we have been speaking about. And it's going to be very powerful, very activating, and very expansive. I'm so excited to work with you.
Yes. And I love it because we both have overcome so much in regards to the voice, and now we are bringing the medicine to other women who need
Yeah,
it.
yeah, and that's why I love it even more, because as I said, like, we mirror each other so much in the voice department, the communication department, and so many women are experiencing that. So I think and I want to work with soul aligned people. And again, I do think like that, even like speaking your voice, your true authentic self, showing up as your true authentic self, this is where it does you become more aligned to your soul people as well, don't you, when you start sharing your true medicine. So
Yes.
yeah, do you want to share anything else about the workshop?
No, Dominica will bring her part. I will bring my part, our magic, our medicine, and the most important thing that I feel is that we are doing it online from the privacy of your own home. So it is really, really for those who are even crippled by the idea of speaking in public. I know a lot of these healing spaces may be intimidating. A lot of these healing spaces may feel like they few levels above or beyond what you can do. We've been there. Both of us have been there. Both of us have felt like speaking up, opening our voice is scary. So this is going to be a really safe space with people who know exactly how you may feel right now.
So is there anything, so tell me just before we finish up, tell the listeners how they can work with you, where they can find you.
So I dwell in Instagram mostly. It's at Ula Friedel on Instagram, and this is where one can find me and reach out to me to work together one-on-one. And this is where I would be posting anything about my upcoming rituals or events. I'm based in London. Hopefully, I'll be doing in-person things soon enough. So yeah.
Brilliant. And I'm going to share all your details in the show notes and share all the details about war. So Ula,
Yes.
thank you so much for coming on. I'm so grateful that you shared your story, and I loved the chat that we had together.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so looking forward to our workshop.
You too. Bye now, everyone, and I'll see you on the next episode.